All right, we've recorded. I'm also keeping a transcript.
All right, nice.
All right.
I assume we'll have to edit out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right. Welcome everybody to the first and hopefully not the only Sunday Pins pod. I'm Steven. I'm here with are you Eric or Shelly?
I guess whatever you want to call me.
Here with Shelly. We're gonna start the the pod by I guess we're just gonna hop into our hypotheticals.
Do we have a name for the pod? Should we let the people know?
Sunday Pins pod, I said.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear.
Yep.
Sorry.
Should we start over?
Yeah. I think we gotta get it out of.
All right, and then do we just want to hop into the first hypothetical?
I think maybe we talked about all right, this is the first one. Here's what we're gonna be talking about week to week.
All right, I'll intro it. You say those things.
Okay. Yeah.
And then maybe we talk a little bit about the Scottish Open and be like, I'll be like, guys, pulling for Scott, and then you can talk about, and then we'll talk about Bob, and then we'll be like, all right, and then we'll get into our first hypothetical.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Hey everybody, welcome to the first and hopefully the not only Sunday Pins pod. I'm Steven, here with Shelly, and we're going to be recapping the week.
Yeah, that's all to be good.
and debating some hypotheticals for everybody here. So if anybody's out there listening, I don't know who would be, but feel free to send us some thoughts that you guys want to hear debated.
Yeah, I think to all the 2 listeners out there that I assume we'll send to our group chat after this, but where maybe 2 people will listen, I think our expectations for the pod, I think, are just to hop on here and talk about, dumb scenarios, hypotheticals, and just chop it up with the boys and see where it goes.
All right, great. So maybe we'll start by recapping the Genesis. I don't know about you. I was pulling for Adam Scott the whole way. I don't know. I like it when an old guy actually has a chance to win. Someone hasn't won in a while. I'm kind of over. I don't know if it's because I'm getting old. I never understood the whole Champions Tour until I started getting old and you start recognizing the names. And so now anytime I see someone I grew up watching, I root for them. So I was rooting for Scott. I was a little disappointed with how it turned out for him. I don't know if you had any rooting interest in the tournament there.
No, I could have cared less. I was kind of pulling for Colin for a little bit, and then he kind of choked it away. Aberg would have been cool, as a European. But I mean, I think it was cool that Bob kind of won his his national tournament, which I think is good for the country over there. But not too much. But it was good to see Scott up there, though.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the way that he won it is certainly, I don't know if people are necessarily debatable or there's controversy around it, but it got me thinking. Obviously you and I play a lot of golf. Let's paint the stage for everybody who might not be aware. I'm sure everyone that's listening probably is aware, but Adam Scott is up 2 strokes against Bob there. Lefty Bob, as they call him. Going into 16. And Bob hits a drive, pushes it pretty far right. I guess he's a lefty, so pulls it pretty far right there and is just sitting in these fucking fescues. He's in jail. Any chance he really has to make birdies probably out the window because he probably can only punch it out about 100 yards is, usually what they're saying from those fescues. Takes a huge fucking practice swing, takes up, I don't know, maybe about half of the fescue with him. And then calls a rules official over, and everyone was confused. They thought, oh, maybe he touched the ball and the ball rolled by accident. But no, he's actually claiming there's a sprinkler head in there. Obviously, the rules official said there was a sprinkler head and got to get a free drop. As the rules say, you do, because it was, technically in his stance and was obviously able to improve his lie pretty considerably. Nailed it to 6 feet there, makes the eagle, and then on 18 puts it to 20 feet and makes the putt. To beat Scott by 1. But, the question I was thinking about is, like I said, you and I play a lot of golf. If that's one of us, are we allowing that drop to happen?
I think we have to, unfortunately. I mean, I think it's kind of bullshit. I mean, if you're playing with somebody and you just come down to a match and you see him hitting the fescue. I mean, you're I think fist pumping inside. You're like, oh, he's dead. But then he kind of pulls like, oh, there's a sprinkler over here. I mean, I think you gotta let him take the drop, but it is kind of bullshit. I mean, what kind of course puts that in the fescue? I mean, that's crazy.
So I was looking into it, and this is what I heard. Is supposedly it gets really fucking dry, and so if you don't have the sprinkler there, the fescue ends up drying out and dying. I agree, it's crazy. I also, too, you want to talk about good fortune for him. The fact he was a lefty, made it so that his stance was on the sprinkler. But
Yeah.
I don't think you can. I I don't know how I would feel about it. I feel like I get that the rules say if you're standing on a sprinkler, you get to not improve your lie, but obviously get a drop in relief. But I just don't see a scenario where, let's say we're playing a 2-on-2 match, one of our competitive 2-on-2 matches. I think one-on-one's maybe a little different because you don't have the backup behind you to want to really push it and argue it. But I think let's call it a 2-on-2 match. I don't know that people are gonna let you take that drop. I think people are gonna fight to the death there.
I it's a tough one to argue. I mean, he's clearly standing on it. I mean, it's 1 in 1 million though that his ball ends up there. And to your point that he's a lefty, like he's going to be standing on it. I mean, of all the things that could happen with your ball in the fescue, that you could get a break like that. I mean, I think it's just kind of aligned to kind of how he ended up winning. But I mean, I don't think you can deny that request to move the ball. I mean,
Well,
it's
I
just
guess
like if
yeah,
you hit the ball in the fescue and there's like you hit into like an animal hole. Like you get relief from that, no?
sure. Well, animal hole, I guess if you see the animal hole, I guess one other thing too is for what it's worth, like none of us would actually even get it. He said he only felt it because he had 3 metal spikes in his front 3 spikes. Like he has some sort of hybrid shoe, I guess, where he's got 3 metal spikes in the front and some sort of rubber tips in the back, I guess.
How did
Uh,
he? So that's how he like he wasn't able to actually see it. It was under the grass, like
Yeah,
the
so I
grass
guess
was
he
laying
took the
over top of it.
big fucking practice swing, and then as he was like getting into position, I don't even know if the practice swing affected it, but he was getting into position and he felt with the metal spikes in the front of his shoe, he felt the sprinkler head there,
Do
and then
we
all
do
over
we
the.
trust his integrity there? Do you think maybe he took a little wider stance or
Yeah,
backed
that's
away from the
that's
ball a little
that's a
further
good
just
question.
to
That's I think also what would really come into factor. We're playing a 2-on-2 match. Is just like how much do you actually have to be there? Like, is how like yeah,
also
like
did he take a 3-wood out originally? Like he wasn't hitting a 3-wood out of that probably originally because
no, that's a good
and
point. His stance
he
would
got a
have been a lot
drop.
tighter.
He got a drop to where he was able to put it down some lower grass and was able to hit a 3-wood out or whatever he hit on the green. But normally he's probably just hitting a wedge, so it's like multiple. He's varying stances from the ball with multiple clubs. So I don't know. I think it's a little suspect, but I mean, you got to use the rules of golf, I think, to your advantage. But who knows?
I don't know. We'll drop a poll in there for everyone to vote on, but it's also like one of those things where it's like I feel like most golfers do this. You kind of pick and choose which rules you actually like play by. Like I don't remember the last time you're sending someone back up to the fucking tee to hit when they drive it out of bounds, or like I'm trying to think of another like rule that people don't actually like play correctly. But like it kind of seems like you pick and choose which rules you play by there. I mean, I don't know anyone, and people might all the hardos in the comments might get after us. I don't know anyone who's taken a swing from a divot in the fairway. Um,
Yeah,
so it's kind of like I guess it's probably one you don't go over. But it's one that's not really like established just because you're picking and choosing most of the time what rules you're actually going to play that day.
yeah. I mean, I think I think it's a tough one to decide for, but I think I don't know. So you say no, like you're probably not allowing that drop to happen.
I'd like to think. I mean, realistically, what I think happens is I fucking complain and you let it happen, and then you're just salty about it for the rest of the day. And I don't know that there's anything you can do about it, but like, I'd like to think that there's some sort. It'll at least be, if nothing else, some sort of argument, and that ends with a hand toss in the air. Um, but I think people would also question if your stance is actually in there or not.
Yeah, but I mean, I assume like I guess it's coming down to 16 type match. You might drive over to see it, but I think he might just try and take the guy's word for it. But you probably won't believe him that he's standing on a sprinkler in the middle of a fescue. Like he's probably
Yeah,
pulling that one out of his ass. Like
that's a good point. Chances are you're not on his ass. I mean, if you're sharing a cart, maybe like if it's 1-on-1, you're sharing a cart. But if it's 2-on-2, you're probably not over there. And so it gets even fucking sketchier when he's calling over, being like, you're on the other side, assuming you're in the fairway or on the other side. He's calling over, being like, hey, I'm gonna drop this because there's a sprinkler in the middle of the fescue. I think that gets even sketchier there.
yeah, no, I think for sure. I think you can. I think that deserves a drive over though, especially like because no one's gonna believe you that there's a sprinkler in the middle of a fescue.
Yep. All right. Great. Next topic.
All right, let's do it. What else do you got for us?
All right. Should we preview the Open? Not that we know anything about the Open.
No, I mean I think Tiger looks good.
Yeah. Listen, you texted me. You said, hey, he looks less bloated. And I'm like, I don't know. His head still looks pretty fucking big. But I did see a couple pictures where I thought, he had a little bit more of a sheen to him. His skin looked, nice and smooth.
Yeah, no, I mean the last time we saw him at the U.S. Open, it was like 1,000,000 degrees, and he was just sweating like profusely. So I didn't know if it just came down to like he was just sweating his dick off at the U.S. Open, and now he's just kind of like, rocking these $1,000 sweaters from Sunday Red out there, and it makes him look a little better. But you could definitely tell in his face it's slimmed up a little bit. So
yeah, I wonder too, like not to be like the conspiracy guy, but I also wonder too if it has to do with some sort of regiment that he's on, like some
really?
not necessarily like steroids,
Like a steroid
like,
cycle, he's coming off the cycle.
well, I'm sure he's taking some sort of supplements for his legs and things like that. And I wonder, if I know people who have got for illnesses and things like that, they take steroids and they fucking swell up. They usually get pretty fat, but their face also swells up pretty considerably. I wonder if there's any sort of as he said, I watched the press conference today. He said his body's feeling better, so maybe he's on less supplements, and that's why he's kind of looking a little leaner. I don't know.
I don't want to be the conspiracy guy either, but should we put out in the universe that maybe Tiger might be on Ozempic?
Oh, yeah, I think that's a good one. I think that's a good one to throw out. No, I don't. As of now, we don't have any evidence that he's not on Ozempic. I saw a stat that 1 in 8 Americans have either tried or are currently trying Ozempic. So what the field is about 150 at Troon this week. So that's off the back of my envelope math there. That's about, I don't know, 20 guys.
I mean, Phil for sure. You got one. I don't know, maybe you got a Westwood or something in there, like a Graham McDowell.
I don't know. Are those guys in the open field?
I think McDowell won, and I think they both won. So they're until 60. Tiger said.
I don't think Lee Westwood ever won the Open, did he?
I don't know. This might hurt our brand credibility here, but
I feel like I'll look it up. I feel like he was always
oh yeah, he might have never ever won a major.
And always get close guy with his, I forget if it was FedEx or UPS shirts, but I don't know if he ever actually got over the thing. Yeah, Westwood and fellow countryman Luke Donald share the distinction of reaching the #1 world ranking despite never winning a major. So
we'll never see Westwood again.
No, I can't imagine he's getting a lot of world golf rank points over at Live to get on the major circuit.
Yeah, who knows?
So I was listening to Tiger's press conference, and one big thing he was talking about was using the ground. And I think a lot of people ask, and I'm sure we'll debate this at some point when it comes to the Masters season. People ask all right, how many yards away from the hole would you have to start in order for you to actually win the tournament? But my question is, how many yards would you have to start only being able to use your putter to win the tournament? Obviously, if you start 1 inch from the hole, you'll finish with an 18 each tournament. What's the maximum amount of yards that you think you could win the tournament only using your putter? And for the record, I haven't looked at all 18. I don't know if there's any forced carries like 70 yards away, like a creek or something like that. But assuming there's no like creeks, or maybe I'll look real fast and see if there are any creeks that you have to get over. But
They have any they got any burns over there?
I don't see I don't know. Let me see if I can get a Troon hole by hole. But you start thinking about it while I look up this Troon hole by hole.
Yeah,
Green
here's my initial thoughts, and I think everyone goes to like, okay, yeah, link style, it just runs forever. So I think everyone's immediately like, oh, I could probably putt from 100 yards and put it on the green, or within like a 30-foot circle every single time, and I'm putting for eagle. But I think it's harder than you think. I think with all the slopes and everything, and all the runoffs and the different bunkers. I mean, if you're just using your putter and you hit it into a bunker once, I mean, you're out of the tournament. You're not getting out of like a pot bunker with a putter.
Yeah, that's a good point. The bunker makes things interesting.
I mean, besides the forced carries of like the burns, but maybe you can put it over the bridge or something. But I think if you hit in one bunker, the tournament's over. So you gotta take that into consideration. So you can't go too far. I think I was thinking back to like Cam Smith on 17 on the road hole when he like putted it around the bunker from like maybe 20 yards. He was directly behind it and used the slopes to get within like 10 feet. Like he had to hit it within like a 3-foot circle to be able to put it around the bunker. Like, sure. I don't think us amateurs are pulling that off every single time. And you're probably faced with that, a handful of times just using a putter. So I think we'd be kind of screwed. So I think the realistic answer is probably like 25 yards from the front of the green.
So I'm looking at Troon right here, and I found on the 5th hole, it's a par 3. It says it's playing 210, obviously, based off where the tees are. It'll be either up or down. It's called green, and I'm sure there's some way to pronounce that in Scottish that I'm messing up. But that's really where you run into your first like forced carry, where it looks like you're about 30 yards short of the green, and anything other than that, you're in the fescue. So I guess what was your answer there, Shelly? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking like 25 yards from the front of the green. Like, I don't think you can go too far, especially in link style. I think there's too many runoff slopes into bunkers. I mean, guys are hitting it on one side of the green from a bunker to another. They're playing ping pong. I mean, they look like idiots doing it. Imagine what we would do out there. Like, I think it's just in front of the green is probably the best that you can do. I mean, one bunker, you're screwed. So I think that kind of takes out the 100-yard scenario. Like, as much as you think you could be able to make a 3 or a worse par from 100 yards with a putter, like you get on somewhere around the green, like inside a 30-foot circle, putt for eagle every time. I don't think it can happen.
So this might sound crazy, but I kind of think you could do it from 100 yards. Now, the main issue I think you run into is on all the par 3s, basically, there's no fairway for you to roll it up from 100 yards. So
you're going to hit a putter off the tee?
The question is, A, do you get to tee it up, right? Because you got you're kind of just dropping it. Do you get to tee it up?
I think you're allowed to hit a tee shot. I think, I think the first ball you're allowed to use tee, but I don't think you're going to be any more successful teeing up a putt.
Well, I'm not sure. Well, especially too, I guess the question too is, do you get an area shaved for you?
Like if you shank a putter and you're in the fescue with a putter, like, well, what are you going to make?
When you're teeing it up from, let's say, 100 yards away, are you getting a tee box? Or do you have to kind of drop it? Are you doing Bob McIntyre? You have to drop it in the fescue, because obviously if you're dropping in the fescue and trying to hit out of that, you got no shot.
No, I think you're right in front. I think like from the fairway.
You get a tee box. Well, I'm saying on the par 3s though, you don't have. There's no the fairway doesn't run up 100. Like for example, the postage stamp number 8 postage stamp is basically 125 yards. At least you need probably 105 to 110 carry. So if you're teeing up from 100, basically you're teeing up from 100, you're teeing up 25 yards in front of the green there, or sorry, the tee box. But I guess the assumption has to be that you get a tee box to tee it off of.
I mean, you tell me. You said you could hit it from 100 yards. What would you do there? I mean, that's where I think where you run into your issue, and I think that's why you got to do 25 yards right in front of the green and put it out. And even then, I don't think it's a sure thing. The postage stamp green is. I think you just put it into the coffin bunker. And
let's take the par 3s out of it for a second and just assume we're talking about running it up from the fairway. How many times, let's say on the 14 holes that you're basically dropping in the fairway 100 yards out, do you think you can even get it on the green?
I think you could. I mean, I see people. I'm just thinking of like the road hole in 18. People put it up like that. They call it the Valley of Sin or Death or whatever. Like they put it from like 75 yards. I can't imagine. Like I don't see why I would be able to use like an Odyssey 2 ball and knock it straight on the green from like 100.
So you think that you could get, but how many times out of let's say 10? Like obviously you're not going to be able to go 10 for 10 putting
Maybe like
yards.
6 for 10.
All right, 6 for 10. Right. And so I'm looking, so let's say 6 for 10, you're on the green. I guess the question is like, how many of these are we two putting? Because I'm just trying to work back, right? Like I'm trying to think.
You think you're gonna get up and down from 100 yards with a putter?
No, I don't think you're getting up and down, but you don't need to get up and down to go birdie.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to get it somewhere around the green.
Two putt.
Yeah, from your next one.
But let's assume. I think. Do you think it's fair to say on average maybe 2.5 putts is going to be your putts? Like assuming you just started, because you're not going to be particularly close. Like it's not like you're dialed in with like a wedge that you're going to be like 15 feet every time. I'm assuming you're going to have some fucking 80 footers.
Yeah, I mean, I assume best case scenario you have like a 10 footer for 3 for your third putt.
You think you don't think you could put?
I think you put your first one up. I think you put your first one up close to around the green. You roll your next one up from like just off the green or the front of the green to within a 10-foot circle. I think that's maybe best case scenario.
I think it's closer to like 5. I'm thinking you're gonna get up. I think from the fairways, you're doing 2.5. I call it 3.5. 3.5 is your putts.
Okay.
So essentially, half a birdie / call it eagle on the par 5s. Right. So like quick back of the envelope math says what you're gonna have 4 par 5s. So that's 6 strokes you get on 6 birdies you have there, right? 6 strokes. And then on the other 10, you're going to get another half. So you're 9 under.
Yeah. But then,
okay.
Yeah, that's not, yeah.
So the question is, can you overcome being 9? Like,
that might be best case scenario though. So
I think that is best case scenario because I guess that doesn't account for the fact that you put one in the bunker and then, but you can get out of the bunker.
You cannot get out of the bunker.
You just have to go backwards.
There even then the lift. I mean, it's a pot bunker. I think it's like raised all around the side. I mean, you can simply putt it out, but I think sometimes they're so steep.
But the pot bunkers, you have to get into them. It's not like Rory's jumping 4 feet to get into the pot. There's a path into the pot bunker that you can go out of.
Yeah, like, and then you got to putt it out and put.
Sure, but my point is you're not dead. Like you're not dead if you go in that pot bunker with your putter. You just lose 2 strokes essentially.
Yeah, but I mean, like sometimes it's the length scoring. Some guys shoot the winning score might be 20 under.
So I was looking up the last few Open winners, right? And at Hoy Lake, Harman came in at -13. Cam Smith was -20 at St. Andrews. Morikawa was -15. Lowry was 15. So it seems like you got to get at least to like 15, 20. The last winning score at Royal Troon was Henrik Stenson in 2016, -20. So
5 under every day.
5 under every day. So you're not really working with much. So I guess going all the way, I think you might even just have to start basically on the fringe.
Yeah, I think 25 yards is best case scenario.
But yeah. I guess the question is using the putter that big of a disadvantage, or are the players that just much better than regular people that they can use all the other clubs? It's that back Masters question. If you start on the green, could you win the Masters? And the answer is 100% yes. You'd have to be terrible at golf not to win.
Right, but a pro with like a wedge in their hand, they're hitting it to 10 feet, so they're gonna have maybe like the same birdie putt as you do from putting. So like, I don't think it's that as big as an advantage. I mean, obviously it sounds ridiculous on paper, like I am starting from here, but you're I mean, they're so good, they're going to be able to get to the same spot as us hacks are.
So I think what we have to do then for maybe our first do it live challenge, and obviously we're not dealing with the the true conditions. Although Tiger was saying he added lead tape to his putter because they were rolling pretty slow. But start at least with the idea of like, hey, let's start 30 yards off and see what we could make. And then I think we would just keep going further and further. I'm not sure we wanted to get into one of those TikTok challenges where it's like, all right, every time I do this, I'm going to add 10 yards and we're going to end up playing 18 with our putters only 8 different times until we can't. But like, I think, and so what would you have to, you'd have to shoot -5 on 18.
Yeah. But I mean, I assume by like day 4, you're gonna know all of the little slopes and everything, of the tournament. You're able to, dial in the putter. I mean, it's just like anything, but
yeah. And under this assumption too, we're assuming that you don't have any prep time. Like, the RNA didn't call you a year in advance and be like, hey, good news. We're gonna let you into the tournament. The only caveat is that you can only use your putter, but you get to start from however long you want. Like, I assume it's just like you're transported one day, maybe you get 30 minutes to take a shit and shower, and someone's just like, all right, here's your deal for every, and I don't know how they'd phrase it, but it's like starting at 30 yards, for every yard you go in, you lose $1 million. Like, what yardage are you starting at? And you have to win the tournament.
The more I think about it, the putter is a really yippy club too. So I feel like, you get some nerves or pressure. I mean, I think like I almost would rather have like a 7-iron in my hand than almost like a putt to win or something.
Well, obviously you'd rather have, like, obviously a 7-iron is a much more advantageous club to have, because 7-iron you could get loft in it.
No, I'm just saying. I think like a putter is a really yippy club. I think it's easy to fuck up.
Well, I think too, you're like, in this scenario, you're like, obviously you have to finish everything ball in hand, as they say. Like, I think after you start missing some of these 3-footers, which you'll miss, it's like you don't get a reprieve to go and watch like your drive carry like 260 and be like, all right, like now, I have a little break. You're just right back on the next. I don't want to say tee box, but tee box with your putter in your hand. I also think too, I think the yips is actually a good point. I feel like you'll lose feel in terms of just like having to swing it really hard on that first one and then having to dial it in to those 3-4 footers that you'll inevitably have to make in order to get in there.
Yeah, I know. And I think like, I guess like, I feel like it'd be a pretty funny thing to, I think, allow. I think they always say like we want an amateur to play in all these majors as a comparison, but I would love the sight of like a guy warming up on Sunday for the Open and they're on the driving range and he's just whacking putters. Like that'd be great to see. Like just like someone striping, like you have Bryson striping his driver, he's just swinging for the fences, and this guy's just like hitting 30-yard putts on the
yeah.
driver.
I mean, yeah, no, that'd be a pretty funny scene. Question is, obviously you would need a caddy. Would you have a bag? Like, would you have a bag, or you just
maybe because maybe you would want some fresh balls out there? Maybe you want to carry some water,
but it's not like you're gonna scuff them up. It's not there. You can't lose them.
Maybe an umbrella.
An umbrella. I guess you know what you're gonna need your rain gear. I guess it is the UK. I guess maybe a couple bananas.
Maybe a rangefinder.
I don't know. I mean, what do you need the range? A, you can't have a rangefinder. You're playing in the and B, like, what would you need a rangefinder for? You already know the distance because you're teeing off from the same distance every time.
Are they adjusting it for the pin locations, like front pins or moving your back?
I guess probably not adjusting. I think it's just like to the middle of the green.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know. I think rangefinder probably not. It's not allowed. I think one other thing that we're probably forgetting about is obviously we go out there, we don't have caddies. I think a caddy in this scenario would be extremely helpful. I think you wouldn't want like
I wouldn't want my buddy. I would want like a local caddy.
No, you would need someone a local caddy. I think is going to probably at least shave five in this format 5 to 10 strokes off your game.
Oh yeah, he's gonna steer you away from like all the runoffs and be like, all right, let's just play this one a little safe. Like if you get over there, throwing it to like fescue bunker. So he's like, he'll keep you steer away. I think, like, if you're on my bag, you're just be like, all right, just go right at the pin. What do I know?
Well, no, what would I know? Obviously, I'm going to provide zero. If anything, I'm just going to have you second doubting yourself, or second guessing and start doubting yourself. So I don't think I would be helpful in this scenario. I mean, I can physically carry a bag, but that's about probably the only help I would be.
Yeah, yeah, I think that would. I think that's what you need.
All right, so I think what we said is 25 feet. We feel pretty, or 25 yards. We feel pretty confident about, basically just off the green, a few paces. And I think next time we play some sort of link style golf, we'll have to test it out.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it would be that hard. Like, obviously, when you have like a straight on hole with a pin in the middle, like, you're gonna be able to get it somewhat close.
No, I would honestly think your 60 would be like a pretty reasonable goal.
Well, yeah, I think from there, but I think the link style, like the runoff in the bunkers and like in the fescues and everything, I think that takes a big factor. But if we're playing the local muni out here, I don't think we're not running into that many scenarios like that.
I don't know though. I think
if anything, it might be hard. I guess maybe that the fairways aren't cut down as nice. I mean, like
no, but I think once you're at 25 yards, you've kind of avoided all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty, I guess, like frustrating for the playing competitors too. I think for you just to be starting there every single time.
Well, I mean, I guess you're not really taking them into account. I don't think Scotty Scheffler necessarily has got you in mind while he's teeing off, thinking about this dickhead gets to tee it up from 25 yards off the green. I mean, I'm looking. There are obviously some greenside bunkers that maybe you could hit into, but like I think that's where the caddy comes in. Is just like, all right, like just pound it up this side, because depending on what the runoffs are, you could definitely find some scenarios where they've got runoffs into some of these bunkers here. But I think the caddy keeps you away from them.
Yep, he steers you away.
Also, for what it's worth to anybody, if they get this podcast in time, if you go to the Royal Troon website, the way that they lay out the holes kind of looks like the Sunday Red logo. You'd have to look at what I'm looking at to really see what I'm talking about. Maybe
we can put it up on the screen. We can put it up on the screen for him.
If we're good enough at editing, probably 50-50.
We'll maybe figure that down the road. Otherwise, yeah. I guess.
Otherwise, you're on your own.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I think I ran into this question earlier. I think it's a pretty decent question. I think it was, what is the best job to allow you to play golf? I think for myself, I work in 9 to 5 or like 9 to 6, or I'm not able to get out during the work week at all. I'm a weekend warrior, as they call them. Like, what would be the best job? I think obviously assume outside of like, we're not working at like a golf course or anything. But
I didn't even make the argument. I'm not sure that working at the golf course is your best. I mean, we can get into it, but
honestly,
I think golf course is on. I think working at the golf course is on the table. If you really want to, I think we put everything.
Maybe for the free aspect, but other than that, like I think the last thing you want to do is like being a caddy. Like you get to walk 18 holes, you have the whole rest of the day 12. You don't want to go play golf. I think you're gonna run the same thing working at a golf course.
Yeah. So I personally worked at a golf course for about 3 months. And then I quit because I wanted to go party. I worked in the cart barn. I cleaned carts. I fucking washed members clubs. I did this, that, picked the driving range. I only actually picked the driving range twice. They never instructed me on like how to do it. They're like, all right, just go out there and pick it. And like at one point I went in reverse. Like I
can't imagine picking a driving range requires that much instruction.
No. So it doesn't, but there's like one golden rule that they didn't tell me, which basically is like, don't get trapped. Like you always have to go forward. So I was driving. I think I went to go pick up some balls or whatever. And basically I got the cart trapped, whereas like I had to reverse. And like, I didn't think it'd be a big deal to reverse, but you can't reverse it. So I broke it first time trying. I had to get the maintenance guy out there. They had to shut down the range for like 10-15 minutes at one point, so we could all go out there and manually pick balls.
Sounds like you got fired, not quit.
No, I didn't get fired. Listen, they were desperate for people. But I called the guy who, not a caddy master. I guess my boss is what you want to call him. And just like, hey, I hurt my knee. I'll let you know when I can work again, and then just never reach back out again. um, I mean, but that job was miserable. My point there is, I was up at for the when I work. You work the morning shift. You're up at 5 a.m. And then after that, like you want to get the fuck home the second that your shift's over at like 12. And then
So what do you think? What would be like your top 3 jobs to allow you to play golf?
all right, top 3. I guess I wasn't thinking about putting a listicle together here.
That's not being in order. I guess 3 ones that come
No,
up.
I mean I'll start with. I think I can start with 3. I think one, and obviously this is me personally, would have to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think I think the difference there. Well, it's probably not an entrepreneur.
Are we talking about like early stage entrepreneur or like, I feel like entrepreneurs sometimes work 70-hour weeks.
No, that's what I was gonna say. I think maybe I'm the wrong version in this scenario.
Speak for yourself.
Because I'm working mostly mornings. So I got some of the afternoon for just because of how my schedule lines up. But I'm also too poor as it is to play.
Yeah, entrepreneurs are broke.
That's a part of the entrepreneur part is like, do you have the money to play every week? Which every week, once a week, every day, less so. I think in this, and I don't think they go hand in hand, but I think one of the jobs that might work is like a coder. A lot of those jobs are remote. You make a lot of money, and a lot of the times, depending on where you're working, you're not doing that much coding. Like if you're a coder at like a big company, a lot of the times people are working like 10-15-hour weeks. I personally know these coders. Personally is the wrong word, but like I know through other coders that used to work with me that there are these coders at like BlackRock and Bloomberg and places like that like are working remote and just like working 10-15 hours a week. And so
this is where I think you're wrong. I think you got to be thinking more of like people that, like, I think like when I think of it, I think of like a teacher would be a good one. They work 9 months out of the year, especially if a teacher in the Northeast, they have the full summers off. So they get the full summer to play golf if they're not doing like any summer school or anything. I'm thinking like of jobs that like maybe
no, but
you're thinking I'm thinking like a doctor, like a nurse.
No,
like
you're
guys
crazy.
that were like 3 days on, 3 days off kind of thing. I think you want that kind of schedule. You want
I think you're mentally limiting yourself to the idea that you can't find a job that lets you play every day.
I think that scenario is like a sales guy. You're just taking out, clients and things. It's free. You're smoozing out on the golf course. Probably the best, maybe.
I think sales guys probably got to be on the list. If we're making a list of 3, I think sales guy has to be on the list because sales guy number 1. At least all the sales guys I know. Any chance they have to expense something, they're expensing it. So it's like the money part. A lot of the times you can take out of the equation. You can kind of make your own hours, right? You're setting your own meetings.
Right.
You can make sure that be like, all right, like in the summertime, post 4 o'clock, I don't have any meetings. I'm at the course at 4.
If you are meeting with that client, it's like, hey, let's meet on the golf course.
Yep. I think teacher, I think it's a terrible take. Teacher's awful because you're thinking like, all right, I live in Chicago. Like you're thinking Northeast, like the golf season for you're thinking is basically like mid-April to like maybe if you're lucky November, right? And so your thoughts like, oh, from July, which is when school ends, and the teachers are there an extra like couple days later than
so they work till like noon. They're on the golf course by 1. I think they have the full summers off. They got
but you're missing 9 months of the year.
Yeah, but those 9 months are cold.
But what about the rest of the world? In California, you can golf California, Scottsdale. There's 12 months a year to be had. Atlanta, Texas. Like I think you're thinking of it from like where you are currently sitting in this seat today. I think we got to think of the global picture.
I think a teacher is better than a coder.
No, that's where you're wrong. Coders like control their own schedule. Coders run the world. You ever meet a coder? Everyone just like is scared of the coders because they know
they are like the laziest. Like
they know it's also too they hold all the power. They know if the coder like quits on them, you're up a creek without a paddle. Like you got to bow down to these fucking coders. So I think coder is a good. In my list, I got coder, sales guy. Real estate, I think, is also a sneaky one because you
Yeah, I mean, real
control.
estate. They don't really work. They do like one showing a day, and it's like that's their work. Like they're not doing that much.
Yeah, I think real estate's got to be up there. Yeah, because real estate too is another one of those deals where you're like kind of control your own schedule. I only say kind of because in theory you're trying to sell something. The client calls and say, "Hey, I want you to show me this." You kind of got to move stuff around to be able to show it to them. But for the most part, like you're putting in as many hours as you want. Now, are you working hard enough to be able to afford the lifestyle that allows you to golf 365? I don't know, but the schedule that you get that comes with real estate, unless you're like if you watch Selling Sunset, obviously it's a bad example. I don't know that they actually sell real estate, but throughout the whole season, they show 8 houses throughout the whole season. So it's like what are you doing most of the time?
And like, I guess if you're working on like a giant house, it's like you maybe take 6 months to sell that, and it pays your salary for the year. So it's like,
Right.
So it's like, all right, I gotta sell 2 houses this year at their level.
So my definitive list then is sales guy or person. Salesperson is a gender neutral podcast. Salesperson, coder. Although I think the Venn diagram between coders and golfers is on the smaller side. And then real estate, call it agent. Broker, I think there's a little bit more involved, but maybe not. I don't know that much about the real estate game, despite the fact that I was a licensed real estate agent in Massachusetts.
I mean, I'm learning more and more about you, I guess, through this podcast. You got fired from a golf course.
No.
Didn't sell any houses.
I quit.
I guess I'll go with my top 3 then.
Yep.
I got one I haven't brought up yet. I was saving.
Yeah, keeping that one in the back holster.
I think my 1-1 is a pilot.
A
pilot. So hear me out.
I'll let you explain it, and then we'll see from there.
I think bags fly free. You get to control where your bags go. I mean, I don't think you're gonna lose. You're not responsible for the airlines to lose your set of clubs. So I think that's a win right there. You're able to fly to a different place and allow, I guess, different regions. Allows you to see more golf courses than just, the same one over and over again. And I think, like, I don't really know the schedules of pilots too well, but I think they allow, like, they fly for a day and they're there for like a day and then they're going to fly out the next. Like, they're not just straight, Chicago to New Orleans, back to New Orleans to Chicago. I think, they're there overnight through the day. Like, they're on their own schedules for some time. So I think pilot is my 1-1.
All right, let me stop you there before you get on to the next one, because I got some qualms with this pilot take. You would
love the free bags too, I think.
Okay, as a Southwest Flyer, yes, I like the free bags. The free bags have nothing to fucking do with it. Obviously, I think the pilot. I'm not going to argue with you that the pilot can transport their clubs as luggage on the plane.
No free ads over here, by the way. I don't think we.
Fine. No, that's the last time you'll hear me mention Southwest. Unless they become a sponsor, of course.
All right. So what do you have with an issue with
couple issues? One, I don't think you understand how pilots work, because pilots literally, you get up, you fly your 10 hours that you got to fly. Like, you're on the plane and flying and through the airport. Like, it's a full day. So that day's a shot. And then
you play the next morning.
I think you're going to the airport and then you're flying again. Like, I think it's like kind of like a couple of days on, few days off. If you want to say, all right, they're going to get a lot of days off, maybe. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure you're just kind of like trucking through it. Like, I think you're flying here, you're flying right back. Like, these planes got to go somewhere. They're not just having these planes sit around.
Yeah, there's a million pilots. You bring up trucking, they're not truckers and they're just on the road. I think, they're flying, they do like the 9 p.m. land at 11. And I think they're not waking up at 6 a.m. I think that'd be criminal for the airlines to do this to the pilots. I think they're having like a 6 p.m. flight the next day that they have to do. I think they're at the hotel. They have all day. I think they're relaxing. Like, I don't think they're just go. I think they have obviously breaks. I mean, they're not working. That's irresponsible.
No, I think they're only getting I think they're working like 4 days, pretty heavy, and then like 3. I guess
4 hours of sleep. What
do you mean? You can get 10 hours. You can get 8 hours of sleep. But I think you get your 8 hours, you're flying, and then other than that, you're kind of just like you have the days off. But I think when you're working, that day is shot. I think you're in the cockpit. I could be wrong. If there are any pilots listening, weigh in, send us an email, Sunday Pins.
I would love to get a pilot on here. And
SundayPinsPod.com or at Gmail. We'll put the email in bio. But any pilots out there, email us in. Let us know what you think. Because I guess we're gonna need some pilots to settle this debate for us. Because I'm thinking you're not getting out there much. But let's hear the rest of your list.
Yeah, I mean, I think the rest of my list, we've already mentioned. It's not too surprising. I think 2, I have to go sales officiant or official. I think anyone the sales,
like is the salesperson in charge of marrying the contracts together.
You got me scared about the we're gender neutral pod, so I wanted to be respectful. Salesperson out there. I think sales too, just from the expense aspect and just the the easy lifestyle that some may live. And then 3rd, I'm going teacher. I'm sticking by teacher. I think they work 9 months out of the year. They got 3 months to do whatever they want. I think what jobs out there you can only work 9 months out of the year. There's not too many of them out there. I think teachers got to be up there. So I'm putting in my top 3. I'm sticking by a teacher.
All right, here's a question too, because we've brought affordability into it, and God bless the teachers that are out there educating the youth. It's a I don't want to say it's an unsung job, because I think a lot of people give a lot of credit to teachers these days, but you're not really getting paid a ton. Like, is that a factor?
I think it depends on the school. I think maybe you get a private school teacher, they may be making a little more. You get the schools in New York, they're like, I think they're union. The union teachers up there making
New York City or New York State?
New York State. I know some teachers, from college days that went on to be teachers, and they're in the union.
What about professors? I think professors could be a sneaky one. You go out there, you teach a couple lectures.
Does professors fall on my teachers?
I don't think so. I mean, no, because I feel like the way you're talking about, you're thinking grade school, like
I was
through 12.
I was thinking high school teachers. I wasn't even going down the professor route, but the professor might be a little bit more busy. I think they're if they have to, if they're getting all their advanced degrees, maybe they're writing on the side. They're publishing.
Maybe. I mean, I think this sounds like quite the prestige. There are definitely some prestigious professors out there. But let's say I think a less motivated professor, I think there's something there. You got your TAs who honestly grade all, like we're talking major university professor teaching like a 101 class that's filled a lecture hall. You're teaching that lecture 2-3 times a week. You got your TAs grading everything.
I had a gym class at college. I took gym. Like, I'm sure that teacher can't be working that hard.
No, I mean, also too, by the time, especially like professors, depending on what you're teaching, like the information's probably not getting any like different. Like you kind of got your lecture set from last semester. You can kind of run it out there. There's not a lot of prep work. You got your TAs. I think the professor might be sneaky up there.
Shout out to the test bank classes. Everything was just the same. They just basically took the lectures and the tests from like the online thing. But yeah, professors is a good one. Trying to think of anything else. I think maybe like doctor, nurse. I like that 3 days on, 3 days off aspect. I like the 9 to 5 jobs. Obviously you're not getting out there, but I like the free days during the week that allow you to get out there.
Yeah, I think the ultimate too, and obviously it's not like an attainable one, like because it's like an unfair one to even bring up. But like obviously, like NBA player, you can basically play every day.
I think we gotta take professional athletes.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think some idiot's gonna be like, oh, professional golfer. It's like we're taking that out. Like they're taking all.
Yeah, if you're a professional golfer, obviously, but like like NBA players, I'm pretty sure can play every day they want.
Yeah, I mean MJ was playing before games.
Yeah, they played. Jordan played 36 and drank 12 beers with Danny Ainge.
Yeah, never forget.
Yeah. All right. I guess maybe what we'll do is we'll put a graphic together, put it on the Instagram, let you guys vote on who you think has the better list.
Better 3. I like that.
Better the 3. We'll call it 3 on 3. I don't know. Everyone's got their Mount Rushmore of 4. We'll have to figure out what the name for our 3 on 3 is.
I think Coder's an auto loser. I think
that's where you're wrong. I think you don't understand the brainiacs behind the keyboards.
I think if you know, you know, but I think half the people are gonna be like,
I mean,
Coder.
as someone who's been, not to brag, but as someone who's been working in tech for the last, 7 years, I don't think you understand the power that these coders have. Granted, I've known coders that have had to cancel bachelor party trips because they've be on call because they pushed a shitty, I guess, bug on the weekend. But assuming that you're working for one of these big companies and you're not like, you're not in a startup grinding, I think you're missing out on what Coder has.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll leave it to the people. I think we'll get the list up there and we'll let the people decide.
All right. And then I think unless you got anything else, that's gonna do the first ever Sunday Pins pod.
No, I'm looking forward to the debates and hypotheticals and hashing these out. And I guess it's not a who's right, who's wrong thing, but seeing, I guess, who takes whose side.
No, I think
I like the competitive aspect of it.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to keep score throughout, see who does better on the lists, who the people side throughout the year. See if we can actually accomplish our challenges. Be good to see. If we can. I think breaking par from, I guess, breaking 5 under from, I think, 25 yards at the Muni with a putter is going to be pretty easy to do. But we'll give it a shot, and then we can progressively get these challenges a little harder.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a really stupid challenge, but yeah, I can't wait to just bring only my putter out the next time I play golf.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it'll be. We'll see if we can get a discount at the pro shop.
All right, I think we wrap it up.
All right, great. I'll hit the stop recording button.
Bye.